We also have among us Brigadier Ahmed Ali Sahab. Uh, may I request Brigadier Ali to please come in? Uh, is he is he there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. At the very outset, let me extend my heartiest congratulations to Dr. K. Rahman Hazab for the excellent work which I had a glimpse last night just before I hit the sack. I got excerpts of his book from Dr. M.J. Khan, and I was so impressed with the thought process. Though I could only go through the preface and the foreword, but still I must admit that such a candid and such a bold discussion on the Muslim problems in India has seldom been touched upon. In this very year, there was another book released by a Muslim author, a lady born Muslim, which did touch upon these issues, but they were rather peripheral. Here are specific issues which need to be deliberated, and to the compliments of Rahman Khazab, he has also recommended what action should be taken. My first meeting with Dr. Rahman Sahab was in Aligarh Muslim University on 31st December 2012 when he came to preside over a seminar. And that's the time I had a hearty chat with him on various issues. Thereafter, we met in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and through courtesy impar, I've been seeing him, hearing him, getting inspiration from him on the screen, off and on. Ladies and gentlemen, this book, I would recommend all of you to please read it. Beg, borrow, or steal, but do read it, whatever way you feel like. It is really a way forward thinking. And the most impressive part of it, I found, was the foreword written by Mr. Virappa Moily, the former Chief Minister of Karnataka. I was amazed and impressed to see that Mr. Moily had quoted that famous ayat of Surah Rad, Inna Allahu la yughiru ma biqawmin hatta yughiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah will not change your destiny unless you decide to change yourself. And that sums up the whole thesis of the book. The whole spirit of the book is contained in this verse of Quran. And truly, Rahman Khan Sahab has gone about looking into these aspects. Some of the way forward which he has recommended is promote interfaith. Very important in today's India. Unless you have an inter-community dialogue and interfaith relationship, we are not going to progress much. He said that concentrate on educational side and economic development both. I feel the first priority is education, and along with educational development will come the economic emancipation. You may be aware that overall of the 27% Indians who have got graduation degrees, the Muslims have only 5%. This gap has to be narrowed down. This has to be bridged. Don't allow victimhood syndrome. A beautiful way. Don't start crying at everything. Don't start haath pe haath dhare muntazire farda. That story is no more applicable. You have to struggle. And that's what Rahman Khan Sahab is imploring you to do that. Overcome insularity. Then when this is what is happening in last about 2-3 decades, that we have been started looking for Muslim mohallas and Muslim ghettos. Don't become insular. Reach out. Trust me, I stay in a colony where I am the lone Muslim and I have no fears. I enjoy meeting them. I get all the respect that is given to me, and it doesn't happen. But a lot of people in Lucknow asked me this question, do you feel safe? I said, yes, I do. So don't worry, reach out, settle down, meet these people also, others, whom you think are not conducive to your thought. Become an integral part of the society. When you start helping, don't look at any caste, creed, religion, or such thing. Just become a part of the society, and everybody will start liking you. Muslims should develop a positive outlook. Very important. I'm quoting this way forward suggested by Rahman Khan Sahab, not my own. This is extremely important that you start contributing and have a positive bent of mind. It could have been worse. It could have been very terrible. Thank God that it is not so. So start contributing. Muslims must develop within themselves generosity, tolerance, helpfulness, and excellence of character. The last point I would like to deliberate a little more. You know, some years back, a film came where a famous actor Pran was a Pathan and Amitabh Bachchan was a police inspector. When Amitabh Bachchan tells him that you are telling lies, Pran replies, I do not tell lies. I do not speak lies because I am a Muslim. I remember this dialogue very well. I saw this movie when I was in the university. How many of us can really say like this now? We have to develop a character amongst us where we are respected, where people hold us in high esteem. A major issue discussed in the book is on communalism also. Hats off that he touched that subject, and we need to handle this issue very, very carefully. Therefore, he recommends that Indian Muslims must strike at introspection. Search your heart, search yourself. Where have I gone wrong? Why is the other man not liking me? Why is the other man who has got such a hatred for me? Correct yourself. There's always a room for correction. Don't say that you are always right. You may be wrong. You may be guided wrong. You may be told wrong. So please change your attitude. Muslims should be useful to other people's, other faith people. Reach out to those people to whom you can render some help. And don't be desperate, please, for God's sake. Heavens have not fallen. You don't have to be desperate. You can redeem your image. You can redeem your status. You can redeem your dignity, provided we understand what is to be done. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as a Muslim, we have all read the Quran. There are two aspects, two words which come very often in the Quran. One is dunya and akhirah. Very few would know, perhaps, that both dunya and akhirah figure 115 times each in the Quran. Both these words figure 115 times each. What does it indicate? It indicates that Allah wants you to look after your dunya as well and not start preparing everything for the akhirat and leave your dunya. Many of us have abandoned dunya for the sake of akhirat. Please, my request is, don't do that. If God has ordained equal weightage to both, then let us do it. The second thing is, please focus on science and technology. We have numerous madrasas, we have got numerous schools, but again, are they up to the standard which the world requires? Unless we have very high standards of madrasas and schools, we will not be able to compete. You just imagine that out of the Nobel Prizes that have been awarded till date, only 12 Muslims have got Nobel Prize. And if you exclude Abdul Salam, then you are left with only 11. And compared to the people whom the Palestinians were fighting yesterday, 112 Nobel Prize have been won by the Jews, who comprise only 0.2% of the world population. You have to become more scientifically oriented. Our religious leaders have to become like Al-Kindi, Ibn Sina, Ibn Hawtam. Those days, the Peshimam or the Mufti was a combination of a science man as well as a Peshimam. Ibn Rushdi was the Mufti of Cordoba. And look at the way he wrote that book, The Incoherence of the Philosophers. I mean, today our theologies have to lead the way. They have to produce work which is going to help you in this world also. And of course, Rahman Saab, as being a politician himself, he has owned up that the politicians also have let down. Let us hope that in the coming days, we will take a leaf out of this book and we shall be led by our Maulanas, our ulema, as well as our politicians who have got very practical, very broad-minded, very liberal things at their heart. I'm sure this book will find an interesting read, and I would recommend every one of you to have it in your library as a personal collection. Thank you very much, Impar, and thank you very much, Dr. Khan, for giving me this opportunity to say something about the book and what I thought about. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.